What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers obviously need a center. There's talks or reports about, Nick Claxton and Daniel Gafford. I'm sure as we move into the offseason, there's going to be more and more just buzz generated, more and more like, what about this guy? What about that guy? What about this guy? Right? You get it every offseason. But the thing that I want to talk about in particular is obviously the starting center position. And you look at kind of who's available. 90% of them are probably best as backups. Clint Capella, Steven Adams, right, Jericho Sims. Miles Turner obviously would be great and ideal, but a couple things. One, does he even leave Indiana? Two, he's probably out of our price range. And three, the only way to realistically get him is probably via sign and trade, which hard caps you and already kind of limits and dampers what you can and cannot do, right? And the Lakers are already kind of limited in that regard. So it's one of those things where like you look at what's available and it's like, I'm not saying you don't get some of these guys, right? But as a backup, one of the things that I keep highlighting is like, I really think the Lakers need two centers. You have to get two. You have to get that starting caliber center, and then you need that backup, right? And to me, the only realistic path to get a true starting level, like, sure, could you sign Clint Capella and have him be your starter? Sure. And like, I wouldn't hate that, right? Like if you told me like that's what we ended up with, I don't think that'd be the end of the world, right? Not ideal. It's not my favorite. It's probably closer to the bottom of the totem pole, but he's still one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. He's a lob threat, big. He's a guy that can bang with the big boys, right? He can run the floor. He can, block the occasional shot. He would be fine. And I think Luka would make him, 15 point a game guy, right? So I do think Clint Capella would be okay in that role, but I'd like kind of more long-term stability at the center spot. I'd like somebody, the two guys that are linked are Nick Claxton and Daniel Gafford, right? Okay, perfect. Both guys are, in their mid-20s. Both guys, can be foundation piece for now and the future. Both guys can do multiple things out there on the basketball court, right? I'd prefer that. And then go get, a Jericho Sims or a Clint Capella or a Steven Adams or something, right? If you could pull something like that off, then perfect. Now you got your two centers that come in on any given night, right? Like, if whatever, let's say you get Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton needs the 9 off, no problems. Boom, here, put in a Clint Capella. He can start for you and give you a lot of the same stuff. Maybe not as versatile defensively, but still can give you a lot of the same stuff as far as rebounding and lob threat and all that stuff, right? And you don't necessarily, like, I would like a skill big, right? I'd like somebody like a Mark Williams that, can create for himself, right? Shoot over the top, do some multiple things out there on the basketball court. Even a Miles Turner, right? Miles Turner would be great. But there is the argument of like, is that what's best for Luka? Because Luka's best operates with a big man that can be in the dunker spot, that he can just lob the ball up to, right? Like, so again, if we're building around Luka, a Miles Turner makes more sense for LeBron because LeBron likes to, put his head down, get to the basket, and then kick out to shooters, right? Particularly at the corner, right? So, but when you have a guy like Miles Turner who could spread out the paint, and spray it outside on the 3-point line, right? That suits LeBron. So he made sense when you had like LeBron and Anthony Davis, right? Even more sense. I still think it's one of those things like if you can get Miles Turner, you get Miles Turner. But I'm just saying like fit-wise, right? Luka, who we got to imagine is probably going to have the ball in his hands, is probably going to be the number one option. And not just now, but long term, right? He's best at getting in the teeth of the defense, creating that dribble penetration. If the defense collapses, easy lob, boom, now he's hammering it home. Or if they don't help and they don't collapse, then he's just shooting over the top because you're not going to be able to stop him one-on-one, right? And he's just getting a bucket or he's getting fouled and going to the line. So, he likes to have that advantage of knowing that guy's there. And you saw, like, at times it hurt the Lakers because he's, trying the defense collapses and he doesn't have that outlet that he'd usually have. So he's got to either kick it out, right? And then the defense is able to get back, or he's got to take, a tougher shot and knock it down. And, he can knock him down, but it's just like, it's not ideal. It's not what you want to have. You don't want to have to put him in a position to where he has to constantly shoot over the top of 5 guys, or, he's trapped and got to, make a traffic pass or something like that. You want it to be more confined. So to me, I think the most likely path and scenario for the Lakers to get that real starting, like, okay, this is the guy we're going to have for the next 5 years, right? This is our franchise center unless something crazy happens, right? I think realistically it's via trade. Now, obviously, if later on down the road the Lakers end up drafting a guy or something like that, or take a flyer on a young guy that no one's thinking about, and he just emerges to be the guy, like you never know. You never know what tomorrow will bring. You never know what 3 years from now will look like. But go and get a Nick Claxton. You're trading for Nick Claxton. He's coming in, right? He's being your defensive anchor. He's being that lob threat. He's being all the things that the Lakers need, right? But that's the guy that you're having for the next 8 years, more likely than not. So now you got Nick Claxton, Luka Doncic as your at least core foundation of big, little, and then over the years you're kind of all the other pieces will rotate, right? LeBron at some point will end up departing. Hopefully you get another star to replace him once he leaves, right? And now you're in position where it's like, okay, now you have 2, 3 and D wings, another star alongside Luka, and then Nick Claxton, right? That's kind of the idea. But you have to trade for him. Daniel Gafford even, you have to trade for. Like a lot of these guys you're going to have to trade for if you really want to get even a Mark Williams or a Walker Kessler. There's even, talks, kind of murmurs about like a Jalen Duren because the Lakers tried to go after Jalen Duren this past trade deadline, right? Now, again, they probably won't trade him, but you never know, right? Like, you never know who's going to, like, we didn't think Mark Williams was available and was going to be traded. And then all of a sudden you look up and it's like, oh, wow, Mark Williams is available and traded, right? Like, and then obviously that fell through and it was just like, but to me, it's one of those things like, sure, somebody could come out of the woodworks. I think like the safe bet is Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton is probably who's most likely. Daniel Gafford, obviously. But I just like look at the Nets and I'm like, okay, we know that they want expiring contracts. Check. Lakers have that. We know Rob Pelinka and Sean Marks have a good relationship. Check. You got that, right? You know what the Brooklyn Nets want to do. They want to kind of clear the deck and hit the reset button. Check. Lakers can do that for them, right? Like, so I look at it and I'm like, okay, like there is a real path here to get a guy like a Nick Claxton. Daniel Gafford, obviously, Nico Harris is, working for the Lakers. So it's like, you got that relationship. You got that in there. Joking, by the way. But no, it's just, and then the relationship with Luka, him and Luka, as a duo, we know works, right? As like that big guy that could be that lob threat. Daniel Gafford's got the size and the strength and the physicality to bang with the big boys, right? So, I'd probably prefer Daniel Gafford if that's a path and possibility. I would love something like that. But realistically, I think that you're probably looking at, Nick Claxton. But regardless, again, Lakers are going to have to trade for a guy. So if the Lakers really want that starting caliber center, look for a trade to materialize this offseason. And then, like I said, you probably go get a Jericho Sims or something like that on a vet minimum. And then, boom, now you got your 2 centers. If you want to keep Jackson Hayes, fine, keep Jackson Hayes. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Ask a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? If you would have thoughts, agree, disagree, mix in the middle, however you feel. Either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.